Alright, listen up, men. Have you ever wondered what really goes on in a woman's mind when you decide to stop chasing her? I'm not talking about the fairy tale stuff. I'm talking about the raw, unfiltered reality, the truth most guys are too afraid to confront. What happens when you stop feeding her ego, stop validating her, and simply choose to live on your own terms? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of this psychological game and see how your decision to pull away might just flip the script completely. We'll dive into the subtle power dynamics, the primal instincts, and even the Stoic approach, not just the control what you can cliché, but the deeper, colder truths that ancient Stoics understood about influence, attraction, and self-respect. If you're tired of chasing and ready to see what happens when you stop playing her game, stick around. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's break this down like men who refuse to be anyone's backup plan. Alright, let's talk about what really happens when a man stops chasing a woman. No sugarcoating, no fairy tale fluff, just the raw, unfiltered truth. If you've ever found yourself tirelessly pursuing a woman, always being the one to text first, planning the dates, bending over backward just to get a little bit of her attention, this is for you. Because there comes a moment when a man decides to pull back, to stop chasing, and the impact of that decision is far more powerful than most realize. At first, she might feel a wave of confusion. She's used to the validation, the steady stream of attention that subtly reinforces her sense of value. When that stops abruptly, it's like a shift in the script, an unexpected plot twist. Her mind races with questions. Did I do something wrong? Did I lose my grip on him? Has he found someone better? The uncertainty alone is enough to stir a reaction. And here's the part most men don't realize. Your absence forces her to confront a harsh reality. Attention isn't guaranteed. For many women, attention has always been easily accessible. Social media likes, thirsty DMs, compliments at every corner. It's all there. But your silence? That's a void that can't be filled by just anyone. It's a gap that echoes louder than all the validation she's used to. Now, some might say this is manipulative, that it's all a game of mind tricks. But here's where it goes deeper. This isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your own power. When a man stops chasing, it's often not a calculated move, but a realization, a moment of clarity. You stop seeking validation from someone who isn't reciprocating, and you shift that energy inward. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism subtly creeps in. The Stoics taught that a man should never anchor his peace of mind on external validation. Whether it's the approval of a woman or the opinions of society, relying on others to define your worth is a trap. When you step back, it's not just a power move. It's a demonstration of true inner strength. You're no longer begging for scraps of attention. You're living by a higher standard, your own. As time goes on, the dynamic often shifts. What started as confusion may turn into curiosity. She might begin to see you differently, not as the guy who was always available, always chasing, but as someone with the backbone to walk away. And that's attractive because self-respect is rare. It sends a message louder than any words. I value myself enough to not wait around for someone who doesn't see my worth. And here's the brutal truth. Sometimes she won't come back. Sometimes she'll move on, convinced that there's another guy ready to take your place. But if that happens, you didn't lose. You won. You saved yourself from someone who never truly valued you in the first place. You chose yourself over a fantasy. So, Before you pick up that phone to send another just checking in text or try to salvage a connection that's slipping away, understand what your absence truly means. It's not a tactic. It's a testament to your growth, to your standards, to your refusal to be just another option in someone else's world. Because the moment you stop chasing, you stop giving away your power. And that's when you see who genuinely values you and who was just enjoying the attention. Hey, real quick, I want to hear from you. If you've ever stopped chasing a woman or pulled away, what did you notice happened on her end? Was there a shift in the dynamic? Drop a comment below and let me know what you experienced. And hey, I'll make it easy for you. Type, I respect myself enough to stop chasing. If you've ever been through this, and let's talk about it. Your story could inspire someone else, and I'd love to dive into the conversation with you. Let's keep this discussion going. All right, here's where things get really interesting. When a man stops chasing a woman, something shifts. It's like a game where one player suddenly decides to walk off the field, leaving the other player questioning what just happened. For a woman who's grown accustomed to that steady stream of attention, those daily texts, those efforts to impress, the sudden silence can be jarring. And here's the twist. That silence often speaks louder than any confession of feelings ever could. See, most guys think that if they just try a little harder, give a little more, she'll eventually reciprocate. But the brutal truth? That constant pursuit often becomes background noise, easy to ignore, easy to take for granted. When you stop chasing, you break that pattern. Suddenly, there's a void, and voids demand to be filled. Initially, confusion sets in. She's left wondering, wait, did I lose him? Did I misread everything? That curiosity can be unsettling because for the first time, she's questioning her own position in your world. It's not just a hit to her ego, it's a reality check that maybe she wasn't as irreplaceable as she thought. Here's the thing about attraction. It thrives on a balance of presence and absence. When you were always there, always available, you became predictable, safe. But when you step back, you become a mystery. And mystery has always been attractive. People are wired to want what they can't fully grasp. It's the reason why the rare, the exclusive, and the unattainable are so sought after. Psychologists talk about the push-pull effect, that subtle tension where the more someone pulls away, the more the other feels compelled to push forward. It's a game of balance, but here's the kicker. It's not a game if you're genuinely focusing on yourself. If your withdrawal is just a tactic to manipulate, she'll see through it eventually. But if you genuinely reclaim your energy, prioritize your growth, and start living for yourself, that shift is magnetic. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism quietly steps in. The ancient Stoics taught that the highest form of strength is self-mastery, to remain unshaken regardless of external circumstances. When you step back from chasing, it's a declaration that your sense of self-worth isn't tethered to her response. Whether she notices your absence or not, whether she reaches out or moves on, you're grounded in your own value. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the most renowned Stoics, often reflected on the idea that what happens outside of us should never dictate the state of our inner world. And here's the part that stings. Not every woman will come back. Some will take your absence as a sign to move on. But that's where you win. Because if her interest depended solely on your relentless pursuit, then it was never genuine to begin with. It was a dance you were doing alone. When a woman sees a man who respects himself, who has the backbone to walk away from half-hearted interest, it commands a different kind of respect. It says, "I'm not here to convince you of my worth. Either you see it or you don't." And that's rare. Most guys will keep knocking on that closed door until their knuckles bleed, just hoping for a crack to open. Few have the courage to turn around and walk away, knowing that the value they bring isn't diminished by someone else's inability to see it. And here's the cold, hard truth. Women respect strength, not physical strength, not the loud, boastful kind of strength, but the quiet, unwavering strength of a man who knows who he is, a man who doesn't beg for attention, who doesn't place his self-worth in someone else's validation, and who isn't afraid to lose what isn't fully his to begin with. So if you've recently stopped chasing, wondering what impact it had, know this: your silence is louder than you think. It speaks to your growth, your value, and your refusal to be just another option. It's a reminder that respect begins with self-respect, and a man who respects himself will always be respected by those who matter. So, what's the bottom line here? The truth is, when you stop chasing a woman, you're not just pulling away, you're transforming the entire dynamic. At first, it might confuse her, maybe even leave her questioning her worth. But here's the thing, that confusion is the catalyst for something much bigger. It's the wake-up call that forces her to reflect, to question, and maybe even reevaluate her own emotional landscape. Suddenly, she's no longer getting the constant validation she once took for granted. And that's when real change starts. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about a shift in power, a shift in perspective. As you stop chasing, you stop being the source of her validation. And in doing so, you're showing something far more powerful than just disinterest. You're showing that your time, your attention, and your energy are valuable. You're teaching her and yourself that self-respect is non-negotiable. What's fascinating here is that with this shift, something unexpected happens. Attraction grows. The mystery deepens. When you're no longer chasing, she may find herself wondering what you're up to, why you're no longer glued to her every move. It's this subtle withdrawal that creates an intriguing space, and that space is where real attraction often starts to build. It's not about chasing her, it's about letting her chase the new version of you, the version that's secure, independent, and grounded. And when this dynamic eventually leads to a reconnection, if it does, it's no longer just two people hanging on for dear life. It's two people who have grown, who understand their worth, and who can offer something real and substantial to each other. If you reconnect, it's because you've both evolved, and that makes for a stronger, more mature connection. But here's where the Stoic part comes in. We don't control how anyone reacts, nor do we control whether they come back or not. What you control is yourself, your actions, your self-respect, and the boundaries you set. Whether she comes back or not doesn't define you. What defines you is how you handle the situation with grace, strength, and emotional maturity. In the end, whether this leads to a stronger bond or not, you're walking away with something priceless: your peace of mind, your emotional independence, and the unwavering belief that you don't need anyone's validation to feel whole. So, to sum it all up, when you stop chasing, you open the door to growth for both of you. It's not always pretty at first, but it's real. And in the end, that's what truly matters. Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed this and found it interesting, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more insights about psychology and relationships. Until next time, keep exploring and growing